Hi there, welcome to our next installment of 3 for 5. 3 for 5 is a series of restorative yoga classes where we're really just in a particular posture for about 5 minutes. And it's just intended to be a great place to touch base and check in, and maybe to offer yourself a bit of a reset as you go about your day. So today, for your practice, you'll use a bolster, which I'm already sitting on. So a big pillow and a blanket. And I'll show you how we're going to fold the blanket. This practice is going to be a back bending practice. So we're going to take the blanket and fold it in quarters, and then you have a nice sort of rectangle. And here, you're just going to roll the long end and set that aside. When we get into the back bend with the rolled blanket, we will we'll have an opportunity to make the roll smaller, to make it larger, depending on what you're looking for in your own body. And let's just start. So you might like to start sitting. You might like to start lying down in constructive rest pose or in Shavasana. And let's use this time to connect to our breathing. With this breath practice, we can use the timing of our inhalation and our exhalation to reset our nervous systems and to encourage our bodies to settle and our minds to settle. So first, get comfy. If you're seated, sit up nice and tall. And your spine has this wonderful capacity to sit up tall without being too tough. So if you find your shoulders rise, let them down. If your rib cage gets stiff, just let it soften. Let each rib hang off of your spine. If you're sitting, it's usually a bit nicer to sit up on the bolster or a chair. If you're lying down, stretch yourself out. Support your head if you need. Perhaps you'll have a blanket under your body for a bit of cushioning. Then let your attention move inward as you just notice your breathing. We don't have to make anything special of the breath here. Just let your breath move as it feels like it today, right now. This time to feel your breathing helps give you your baseline, your understanding of how your breath is moving. And maybe once you slow down and feel your breath, you also start to notice that there's maybe tension or mood showing up in your breathing or stress. And so as we work with our breath, we really want to have a collaborative relationship with our breathing. So when we go through this practice, if you start to feel anxious or your body gets hot, any other sort of upset sensation comes up, then just let it go. Let the breath go and follow along with your breathing naturally. Our breath practice will be the 1 to 2 ratio of breathing. Breathe in for one portion, we'll make that 3 seconds, and breathe out for 6 seconds. So breathing in for 1, breathing out for 2. If breathing in for 3 seconds feels too long, make it shorter. If it's not quite enough, make it longer, just by 1 second. Don't go too far, too fast. Breathing in for about 3 seconds. And breathing out for about 6 seconds. Breathing in for 3. And breathing out for 6. Breathing all the way out to the end of that 6th second. And at the end of your next exhalation, let that go. As we go through our postures portion of this class, anytime you wish to, you can pick up that same breath cycle, breathing in for 1 count, breathing out for 2 counts. And our practice today is a backbending practice, as I said. So let's come around into tabletop and place a bolster underneath our bodies on our mats. So that's going to look like this. Coming to the tabletop, place your bolster straight down the center of your mat, longwise. And I'm short, so I keep the bolster quite low. It's going to be just above my knees. And then stretching out over the bolster so that the top edge of the bolster is below armpit height. Here, as you set yourself up into the supported crocodile, you could stack your hands under your forehead, or you could put a block there, or even that blanket that we rolled up. And here, to bring ease into the lower back, we want to set the knees wider apart than the sides of the bolster. And if that means your toes turn outward, that's fine. If it means your toes turn inward, that's good too. And we'll pause here for a couple of minutes. While we rest in our supportive postures, if you need to adjust the pose along the way, then just do that. Give yourself an opportunity to wiggle or to add more padding where your bones are resting on the floor. Whatever you need to create a successful period of rest. And when you feel really settled, you might go back to exploring that 1 to 2 breath where you breathe in for a count of 1 and out for the count of 2. Double length exhale. We'll be here for about 2 more minutes, and then we're going to add some movement. So, option to continue to rest in this posture if this is just where you need to be. Or option to bring some movement in and just to pick up your feet and let your feet sway from side to side. From here, you can walk your hands back to either side of your chest and push up. Let's set the bolster aside and come on down, right back down onto our tummies. Leave your knees wide apart, so a little wider than your hips, maybe even as wide as your shoulders, just so that you can straighten out from your navel down to your knees, so your hips stay pretty straight. Add a little bit of strength to your legs. A gentle tuck to your tail so that your tailbone is reaching back for your heels. And here we'll stack the hands underneath the head, just under the forehead. And let's inhale and lift the head, curl up into a little cobra. The head and neck come up, the upper back rolls back, and then curl back down, breathing out. Let's do that a few times. Breathe in, curl up, press gently into your elbows. Breathe out, curl down. And remember, as we move in our restorative practice, we want our movement to be an exploration and a pleasure. So set aside any ideas of accomplishing, set aside ideas of strengthening, and just explore how your upper spine can curl up and curl down. One more time, curl up. And then stack your left hand on your right hand and turn your head to the left. Bring your right cheek onto the back of your left hand. From here, we're going to leave our left arms, we're going to leave the right arm on the floor. And we're going to lift the left hand and the left elbow up off the floor. And now we're curling up just as we did, but we're lifting the arm up and the head goes with the arm. Exhale, curl down. And we'll just do 2 more of these. Inhale, curl up. And exhale, curl down. And last one. And let's switch that. So now your right hand is on your left hand and your head comes down so that your left cheek is on the back of your right hand. And again, we'll straighten out through the legs, tucking the tail a little bit, reaching the tailbone for the heels. And we'll inhale and lift the right arm, elbow, forearm, hand curl up into a gentle back bend and curl back down. 2 more. Let's bring both hands back to either side of the chest. We'll press up, press back into the child's pose just for a moment, flexing the hips and the knees, letting your neck lengthen. Take 3 breaths here in that 1 to 2 ratio. Encouraging calm after the back bends. When that's complete for you, go ahead and press up. And now we're going to take the rolled up blanket. And I'm going to turn the rolled up blanket so that the flap is away from me. And I think that's going to be about a good thickness for my blanket today. And here we're just coming into a supported back bend. So the blanket will be behind the points of the shoulder blades. So not too low down your rib cage, definitely not into your lower back. We'll curl down so that, again, you're situating the roll just along the points of your shoulder blades and your arms rest wide overhead or out wide. Your head, on the other hand, comes right down onto the blanket or onto the floor. And if you do have neck issues, this might be a good time to put a little extra height under your head, and that can actually assist the shoulders dropping back. As you pause here, you can have bent knees like constructive rest pose, or you could straighten your legs like Shavasana. We'll rest here for about another minute and then we'll scooch down and move the roll up a little higher behind the back. But for now, just pausing and breathing into the shape at the back of the chest. Again, take 3 more breaths. When those 3 breaths are complete for you, bring your arms to your sides, press back into your elbows, curl your chin towards your chest, and we're going to curl up enough to scooch down, not very far, just a few centimeters, and we'll roll back again. This time the roll of the blanket is across the shoulder blades and the arms are still resting above that roll. Consider if you need support under your head here with the bolster up or with the blanket up a little bit higher. It's definitely a different sort of load on the top of your spine. And here too, you might decide bent knees or straight legs. Take 3 more breaths. And again, to come up off of the blanket and make our way into Shavasana, you might bring your arms down alongside your body and push up like we did with the last version. Or you could bend your knees and roll to one side. Support your head, bring yourself up. Use your props as you need for your best Shavasana. So I'm going to place a bolster behind my knees and a blanket. Unroll that blanket over my body. Once you're settled into your cozy Shavasana, check in, recognize how you feel, recognize any impact from the practice. And for your Shavasana, take at least a few breaths here. If you have time, stay for a few minutes. And then moving gently, re-enter your day. Thank you so much for sharing this practice today.